DJI today have released a new firmware for the DJI RC. If you're in receipt of this bad boy, then this video is for you. Let's do this. So hello and welcome once again to the channel on this very fine day in the UK for once, after all the rain and the winds and all the rest of it. However, on with the video. As I've just said, today's video is all about the DJI RC latest firmware 01031800. And what does that bring us? It brings us the latest firmware, as I've just said, and it does bring us a fly app update as well. But don't get too excited. Let's get straight into the video and see exactly what it's all about. So just before we go into the update, as you can see there, what it was 1.13.10, the fly app, and the original firmware was 01031600. So moving on to the latest firmware, it should populate itself once you start your controller. If this doesn't happen, what you need to do is go into profile and then click onto settings and then check for firmware updates just there, and then that should populate the new firmware available, and then you can just click update if it doesn't work in the home screen. Going back to the home screen, if you click on the download just there, it will then say it's downloading the firmware, and basically you just need to then let it run its course. And as you can see, fix some minor bugs. That's one of DJI's favourites. But the latest firmware, version 01031800, and like I've just said, fix some minor bugs. What does it actually do? Well, let's have a look into the menus and see if anything has changed, and I will be doing a flight test at the end of this little part of the video. So looking through the menus, what I always suggest people do is to make sure that all your settings are as they were once you've done this update. There is a tendency for firmwares and fly updates to alter things around, so it's always best to go through and double check your settings. And I can confirm that I have looked through all the settings on this particular firmware, and I can confirm that there is no immediate changes. However, like I've just said, it's always best to go into your settings and make sure that everything's right, making sure that your return to home is still set as it was, and making sure that your camera is set as it was and in control, making sure that if you've altered any of your expo settings that they've stayed the same as well. Well, you can see in the about section we have had a slight increase in the fly app, so it's now at 1.13.11, as you can see just there. But as I've just said, there's nothing actually changed other than the RC firmware has been updated. And like I say, if you've been having problems with your RC, and you can see just there 1.13.11, if you've been having problems with your RC, then this may just fix those problems that's been hiding in the background. So I have had a gap in the weather, and it's a little bit sunny today, which is very odd this time of year. However, let's get straight on to the flight test and just make sure that everything works as it should. Okay, just a short test flight this afternoon. I'm not going to go too far or too mad, but I just want to check a few things out, make sure that we've got a decent signal, and check the flight modes and flip it into cine mode. That seems to be working okay. Normal mode. into sports mode. A little bit of a headwind just there. We'll spin him round. Yeah, that's working absolutely fine. We'll just go and do a quick shot. Feet will do.
3, 1.
That's a little bit out again on the old counter, but that's nothing to worry too much about. And that seems to have worked absolutely fine. As always on these test flights, I always like to do a return to home just to make sure that things are working as they should.
Return to home.
And as you can see, that's coming straight back to where we took off from.
Landing.
We'll just cancel that. We know that that's working absolutely fine. We'll just try a little spotlight while we're out there. There we go, we've got a locator. That's pinned to the ground now. As you can see, that's working absolutely spot on. Let's switch it to cine mode. Do a little bit slower. And sports mode. Not that you want to do a spotlight at that kind of speed. So if you've just seen with the video, the latest update, the firmware update, and that small, very small fly update. I don't know why DJI are doing this. They're rolling it out really slow. And it's been, well, at least 3 months to my knowledge since we've had any form of update on the RC controller. 1.13.11, like I say, it's only a tiny little adjustment. Nothing new in the fly up as you saw, but it does fly extremely well, as you saw in that little test flight that I did. So why did they bring these updates out, these firmware updates, fix minor bugs? Well, like I say, some of you out there have been having problems with the RC itself, a startup time being really slow. Them kind of things might be happening to your controller. And to be quite honest with you, I had none of that, but I decided to do the firmware update for you guys out there because I know you like a little bit of confidence when you're updating these things. And people do ask me, do I have to update? No, you don't. If your controller and your drone is working absolutely fine, or drones, I mean, I took the Mini 3 out, as you know, as you saw in the test flight, but it does cover a multitude of drones that does this thing, like the Classic and the Air 2S, and drones like that as well, the Mini 3 and the Mini 3 Pro. So it's entirely up to you whether you update And like I say, all I can do is report on my findings. I've updated it. It flies absolutely fine. So the choice is yours. I have noticed that the startup time is a little bit quicker than it used to be. So maybe that's one of the fixes. So there we go. That's the video wrapped up. And as always, if you found it useful, you got something out of the video, don't forget, give us the old thumbs up. And if you're new around here, why don't you consider subscribing, dinging the dong, and all the rest of it that goes with it. I'm sure you know me by now. And you might like to watch those couple of videos I've chosen for you over there. And if you do, I shall see you over there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.